īkwēskīcik iskwēwak is a program designed to support women in Saskatchewan who are repeatedly being incarcerated for low-level offences. The name īkwēskīcik iskwēwak comes from the Cree term, turning your life around. Through īkwēskīcik iskwēwak, women who have repeated criminal justice system involvement are offered up to 18 months of support to address their unique and often complex needs by building supportive transitional pathways to improve their community reintegration. This program has been offered since September 2022, with the initial pilot project period ending in August of 2025. The program is funded by the Saskatchewan Ministries of Corrections, Policing and Public Safety, Justice and Attorney General, and Health, and is delivered by the Saskatoon Tribal Council, or STC. The Centre for Forensic Behavioral Science and Justice Studies has been contracted by the Ministry of Corrections, Policing and Public Safety to evaluate īkwēskīcik iskwēwak and assure that the program has achieved its intended outcomes. The first phase of the evaluation examined the strengths and challenges associated with the implementation of īkwēskīcik iskwēwak, including any activities from conceptualization until April 2023, as well as the initial delivery of the program from April 2023 to January 2024. 12 interviews were conducted with 22 key stakeholders who had been involved in the implementation and delivery of īkwēskīcik iskwēwak. Interviews were also conducted with 4 relatives who participated in the program. Importantly, the findings of this evaluation must be interpreted while keeping a few key limitations in mind. First, social desirability may have been an issue in a few of the interviews, as some of the participants seemed cautious in how they phrased their responses when answering questions about challenges experienced by the program. Further, very few relatives were available to speak to their experience with the program. Therefore, the results of the interviews with relatives cannot be generalized to all participants. Focusing first on the implementation of īkwēskīcik iskwēwak, key strengths included that STC took leadership to design and implement the program. They also provided an 18-unit apartment building to address the participants' housing needs through its partnership with the City of Saskatoon's Rapid Housing Initiative. In addition, a database was implemented from the outset of the program to support the collection of data. Finally, a strong partnership was developed between Pine Grove and STC, with STC staff entering the facility 4 days a week to complete program intakes. Challenges of the implementation of īkwēskīcik iskwēwak related to perceived changes in the female correctional population in recent years. Specifically, the interview suggested that violent offenses were becoming increasingly common among justice-involved women, which made it difficult to reach the intended target population. It was also found that the eligibility criteria were too restrictive and that it can be difficult to identify women who are ready to change, even when using readiness to change assessment tools such as the one STC employs. These factors also made it difficult to identify enough women who were suitable candidates for the program. To address issues related to the eligibility criteria, it was recommended that the program A, reduce the number of custody admissions from 5 to 2 or 3 admissions, B, allow for some minor violent offenses, such as common assault or assault with a weapon, as these offenses can include a wide range of actions, including some that are less severe, such as hitting someone with a banana, and C, consider accepting individuals who are committed to leaving the gang lifestyle. Turning next to program delivery, a key strength of īkwēskīcik iskwēwak was the strong team that STC assembled to provide a wide range of supports and services to relatives in a holistic manner, including a safe place for the women to live. Another identified strength was that the Research and Implementation Branch, Ministry of Social Services, and STC worked together to ensure a streamlined application process for income assistance for eligible individuals. Strengths were also identified from the relatives' perspectives. For instance, they stated that the īkwēskīcik iskwēwak apartment building felt like home and was a supportive environment. A few challenges in program delivery were also identified, which is something that's very common when first delivering a program. For instance, īkwēskīcik iskwēwak had to follow the Residential Tenancies Act, as the apartment building was managed by Crest Housing and participants were considered tenants. This presented difficulties with entering relative suites and evicting relatives that were not complying with the program's rules. Difficulties were also encountered with keeping relatives engaged in the program, especially those that were experiencing mental health and addictions concerns. In addition, the residents had built relationships with specific STC staff while they were in Pine Grove. However, these staff did not regularly work at the apartment building. This was difficult for some relatives as they had to build relationships with new staff when they moved into their apartment. This lack of continuity in the relatives' relationships with STC staff may have contributed to some relatives leaving the program. Potential ideas for enhancing īkwēskīcik iskwēwak in the future that were identified through the evaluation include focusing on increasing the retention of relatives in īkwēskīcik iskwēwak, increasing staff continuity from program intake to program delivery to enhance relationships with the residents and promote the retention of relatives, considering how supports and treatment for addictions can be further incorporated into the program, and ensuring contact is maintained and supports continue to be delivered to relatives who have transitioned into the community. Future phases of the evaluation will further examine these aspects of program delivery and explore the outcomes achieved by the program.